Hi, and welcome to the program. On this show, we don't really know what the show is about, to be honest, already. Right?
Hi.
Hi, Danny. We don't know what this show is about, really, right?
I thought it was movies.
Yeah, we're gonna watch movies, but I think like eventually we're gonna have because all we did so far is I gave you a horrendous movie to watch, and we both watched it, and now we're gonna talk about it. But like that's what we got so far, right?
Yeah.
And we're related, right?
I'll have to check on that one.
Okay, so this movie that we watched, before we talk about it, like before we get into like...
Did we already start? Did we start?
Yeah. We're just already started. But
Okay.
Before we even talk about it or give the synopsis or whatever, I've seen this movie before. I saw this movie when I was younger. What did you think of like when you first what was your initial thought when you first started playing this movie?
Hang on, I have a question.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did you like this movie when you were younger?
Did I like this movie? No, you know what I thought of this movie when I was like a teen or tween or whatever, a young teenager or whatever I was when it came out, is I just thought of it like, oh, that's a movie. I think that's what I thought of it. I was just like, oh, that's a movie. People watch movies, and that's a movie. I think maybe like, you know, when you're that age and you were in the 90s, like your taste wasn't very good in the first place. So I was just like, oh yeah, that's a movie. That's an acceptable movie.
That was like all I thought about. Like from the first literally 5 minutes of watching this, I was like, oh, I'm too old for this.
There's a bunch of reviews that kind of touch on like who this movie was for. And that this movie was in some review, I think it's from like a San Francisco newspaper or something. They're like, this movie is for like teenage boys with ADD. Like that's the target of this movie, and that's like totally makes sense. But
Did we even say the movie? Did we say that it was The Pest?
John Leguizamo in The Pest. That's what this movie is, The Pest. And yeah, this was almost sort of like, I just wanted to suggest this, that you watch this just to see like what someone who's never heard of this and never seen this thinks of this.
I had never seen it for sure.
What was your initial impression? The opening credits start. What was your first impression of this thing?
So the opening credit, like I took a bunch of notes on this, and the first note I have is that the production company was called The Bubble Factory.
Yeah, The Bubble Factory, yeah. I wonder what's going on with The Bubble Factory now. Do they still exist?
They got put out of business after this movie. It was all over. Should we give like a synopsis of the movie?
Yeah, you go. You give the synopsis.
Okay, from someone who's never seen this before. How do I describe this? So The Pest is about our friend named Pest, which I didn't realize until like 10 minutes into the movie when one of his friends was like, yo, Pest.
Yeah. It's very 90s. Like they do this whole 90s kind of like, oh, we're going to give a view into 90s culture. And so there's like, it's kind of like they try to do like a sort of, I don't know, what would you call it? Like there's a dude with like baggy Nike sweatsuit on and stuff. And they're like, yo, Pest, what up? But it's so fake. Like it's so forced and like but yeah, that's his nickname. Like at one point in the movie, he gives a long sort of name that
Pesterio.
Pesterio.
I was like, that's such a stretch to like connect the name of this movie to this character.
Yeah, they backwards engineered that. They were like, he's gonna play a character who's just such a pest, and we'll somehow call him the Pest, and that'll be the name of the movie.
They were like, what should his character be? Name him Pest.
He's a pest.
We'll figure it out.
He's gonna be a pest. He's gonna be really annoying and annoy everybody, and that'll be the name of the movie.
But what's his name? Oh, Pest is his name. Oh, okay, got it. Perfect movie plot.
What is it again? What's the full name of Pest?
I don't remember like he had some whole like long name.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
his first name is Pesterio.
Pesterio.
Like, this is so stupid.
Okay,
All right,
give the plot. Give the plot.
yeah, so the plot of the Pesterio, the movie,
Mhm.
is he's just this like annoying. He's a pest. he's
He's
they
literally an annoying
They
person.
nailed it home with that one. So he's this annoying guy who like apparently runs a lot of scams, I guess. He's always a scheming. and he gets targeted by these German folk. Accidentally, of course. He gets targeted by them, and he gets taken to this island with them, and he's promised a scholarship. And then he finds it's so stupid. I can't.
The funniest thing about the island, yeah, so these German guys are gonna hunt him. The German guys, there's like a whole nother side to the German guys that we have to talk about too. But like they show this movie was clearly made very cheaply, like not a lot of effort. I don't know if you saw this part, but the island that they go to hunt the pest is like, it looks like an island that's just like off of the Keys or something. Like you can see the bridge going to it and like a bunch of boats around. It's like they didn't even put the effort or money in to get like a stock video of like an island. Yeah.
That was this whole other thing, is that it took place in Miami.
Yes.
And so it was like this forced 90s and like this forced Miami.
Yeah.
It was so bad. Anyway, so they take the pest to an island, and they're like, oh, come with us to get this scholarship or whatever. And then they turn him loose on the island, and they're like, just kidding, we're gonna hunt you, I guess. And it's like this, it's very, honestly, many racist themes in this movie. But then so the pest ends up escaping the island, and it's all about the pest's journey to
the pest's not only his physical journey, but his emotional and transformative spiritual journey. Yeah, the thing about them hunting him is also weird. Whatever, we'll get to this, but they hint at later in the movie that these guys are like Nazis. Like it's supposed to be this really goofy, silly, like in living color 90s goofy movie, but it's like Nazis are gonna murder him to put him as like one of the races on their wall, like heads on their wall. It's pretty like, it's kind of a stretch for comedy. Like
it really is. And eventually they say the word Nazi. And like the whole time I was like, wow, this is like so racist and like so like awkward toward Germans. And then eventually they were just like, oh, the Nazis in the forest hunting the pest or whatever. And I was like, wow, they said it. They didn't even leave it to the imagination anymore.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting part of like our age too, because like in the 90s, like there was a lot of this going on. Like they really wanted to do like racial humor and like cultural, like, commentary on like cultural stuff like this, but it was rarely funny. Like it not only was it rarely funny, but there was no like it was just like not very smart and like very, very insensitive. Like, yeah. Like one of the things that's like happens twice for like 10 minutes of this movie is John Leguizamo doing like Asian impressions.
Oh yeah, that's a big part of it.
It's a big part of it. And there's no, like, first of all, it's not funny. Like he barely, like if you're going to do a racist accent or a racist impression, at least make it funny and like get the accent down. Like he barely has the Chinese and the Japanese accent. And then
at least do it.
if you're gonna be racist, do it right, do it well, do it, make it funny. But like, I feel like John Leguizamo, he's like can't help himself. He couldn't help himself in the 90s, like in this movie, like to keep doing racist Asian impressions.
Oh yeah,
he was just like, I gotta do it, I gotta keep doing it.
I know there was like it started like there was the first Asian impression, and I was like, oh, okay, we got it out of the way. Like, we're done with that. And then it came back like 3 times, and I was like, we get it. Like, okay.
We got it, buddy. We got it. Like, he couldn't stop himself. Like, he had to do it. I bet the people around him were like, okay, John, please. Like, and he's like, I gotta do it. It's who the pest is.
They're like holding him back physically. Yeah. I knew that was going to be a big part of this movie, though, literally from the opening credits when he's like doing that weird song in the shower.
Yeah.
And he's like, putting on like all these weird disguises of like different cultures and stuff and like singing about it. And I was like, oh, and by the way, that opening song was like 50% just fart noises.
Yeah.
And I just knew, like, I was like, oh God, this is going to be the longest hour and 24 minutes of my life.
It really is. Like, watching this movie, like, I rewatched it too, and it really is like hard to watch. Like, it's especially that opening sequence, which I think is like kind of notorious. Like, somebody uploaded it to YouTube, just that sequence, and it's like, it's so bizarre because it almost feels like your initial thought when you're watching that is something like, oh, like comedy didn't exist before this. Like, they were just figuring out comedy. But that's totally not true. Like, movies like whatever, even like dumb movies that were funny, like Tommy Boy and stuff like that, came out before this. And it's obviously not comedy didn't exist, or like comedy blanked out in the 90s or something.
It's very obviously made for like young kids, because I can very much imagine like thinking about me in like first grade, all the like first grade boys would have been talking about that scene and being like,
oh yeah,
where he like made the fart sound. And I was like, oh God, like I feel like I am in the 90s. Like, this is what was funny in the early 90s to first graders.
90s children like would have loved this. Like, yeah, just fart noises and like making fun of Chinese people is like all you had to do for like teenage boys in the 90s. And they would be like cackling. They would be cackling so hard that they like almost die,
so like, okay, so after the first the weird racist song that whatever his name, this comedian actor, I can't remember his name, John
Leguizamo.
That guy.
He's in more stuff. Like, he's really famous. I mean, he's been famous like forever. He was in that movie Chef. Like, he was yeah. He's like the main like assistant. He was like the assistant chef or whatever, the guy who worked with. Oh my God. Yeah.
That's really fun.
He's mega famous. He's been super famous forever, this guy.
Well, the pest put me off to him. So, but after that opening scene, like immediately the movie was bad. Like, immediately he went into the kitchen or whatever and he's talking to his family and it's like weirdly dubbed over, and there's like there's like these sound effects and he's just talking so weird. And my first thought, and like one of the notes I have written down, is like, this guy is just a different version of Tommy Wiseau.
Yes, yeah.
Where it's like he doesn't quite know how to like act or like be a human.
He's kind of like a 90s comedy. Yeah, the movie does have like almost like a The Room quality to it, where it's just like especially like, because a lot of this stuff is kind of like drawn out in the way that The Room did, where it's just like, oh my God, like this scene needs to end a long time ago.
This scene has been like oh gosh, there was a scene where he's pretending to be Chinese and he's like at this Chinese restaurant, like I guess he has a job there, and he's pretending to be Chinese. And remember, like he's about to lose his job, and he keeps his job by claiming that the chef killed his pet duck. Yeah.
It's like the most obvious, like, it's the most obvious joke, because like if you walk by like a Chinese restaurant in like Chinatown or something, they have ducks hanging in the window a lot of the time. So it's like, what's the most like low
It's
effort thing to make fun of? It's like the ducks.
Easiest racist joke you could have made, and it went on for like 13 minutes.
Yeah.
It was so long, and I felt like my body was tense the whole time.
It is. That's why I wanted to suggest this movie to you, because I was just like, let me just give her like a full body, like cringe, like total cringe. Because it really is. There's like stuff. I mean, I still have this, but there's stuff that you watch, you're by yourself, you watch it, and you're embarrassed. Even though you're by yourself, you're embarrassed. You know?
Oh, yeah. I was literally, like, at the end of the movie, I felt my body, like, become sore because I was, like, tensing the whole time. It was so bad.
I have to say, though, really quick, though, like, John Leguizamo does seem like a nice guy, like, in all these other movies, and he's done, like, stand-up comedy and stuff like that. He seems like a nice guy. I just feel like this part of this I wanted to talk about. I talked to you about this is like why I think they made this movie. I don't think this was totally like him, like all his fault. I think that there was something going on at the time, like whatever. We'll just get into this, but like a couple years before this was like the decade of like Jim Carrey. And
that type of humor.
Yeah, so and it's exactly where this came from. This is more Jim Carrey's fault than John Leguizamo's fault. I'll just read this because I looked this up. So Ace Ventura came out in 1994. Actually, I didn't know this until I looked this up, but Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber all came out in 1994. And
that feels right.
listen to this. This is crazy. Okay. So Ace Ventura, they spent $15 million to make Ace Ventura. It made back $107 million. So whatever, it made a lot of money. Then The Mask comes out the same year. They spent, the high estimate is $23 million. It made $351 million. So spent 23, made 351 million. Like, Jim Carrey was so successful during that 1 year. And then Dumb and Dumber comes out, spends $17 million, makes $247 million. Okay, so that's the motivation probably for making this movie. Listen to what happened in the box office for The Pest. They spent 1.8. No. They spent $3.6 million. They made $1.8 million. Oh wait. Hold on. I read that wrong. The budget was $8 million and the film grossed $3.6 million, and like I think 1.8 was like the opening day opening weekend. And it was here, I'll just read this from whatever, Wikipedia or whatever. It was pulled from most theaters a week after its release.
They were like, wait, this isn't a Jim Carrey movie.
But I think they really were like, all that Jim Carrey stuff was just like making so much money and people loved it so much, like Ace Ventura and The Mask and Dumb and Dumber, that he's like they were so swept up in that, all the people who were making it. And it really is like, it's the exact same kind of humor. Yeah. And like even parts of it are like exactly like the second Ace Ventura movie.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
that's what I was thinking about. Like the whole scene where he's being hunted in the woods and he's like making poop jokes and stuff. I was like, this is just Ace Ventura.
Exactly. And it's like, you could even see like that it's like a meme now. People are always making GIFs out of it where Jim Carrey comes out of the butt of that rhinoceros or whatever. Like, it's the exact same kind of humor. And it's just so sad. Like, it's super sad that like poor John Leguizamo was like, I'm going to just do that and I'm going to print money like Jim Carrey did. And people were just like, nope, no, not interested.
No, thank you, sir.
No, thanks. Don't want it.
Like, you think, and I thought about this too, because I had that Ace Ventura thought. Is like, why is this? Because like they are so similar, like Jim Carrey movies and this movie. But what makes this one so much worse? Like, what is it about this movie that just did not make the mark as like Ace Ventura? Why?
Well, I think there's another thing they were trying to do in this movie, and like I read a couple articles about this, like around the time that it came out. like some reviewers wrote about it. And one thing that they wrote that I didn't really notice watching the movie was that he's trying to do like old-timey comedy a lot of the time. Like he references all this like old crap. Like he's doing like sort of almost like Marx Brothers type comedy, or in like the Three Stooges are referenced a bunch and stuff like that. So
yeah, he did. They literally referenced the Three Stooges, I think, at one point.
Over and over again, and then like, yeah, the whole thing is like, and Jerry Lewis, he does all these like Jerry Lewis impressions, who like, whatever, if, you know, for somebody younger, he was just like this comedian who nobody would care about in the 90s, I don't think. And like, yeah, it's just super weird. He's referencing all this old, and the whole time I was thinking, like you said, like, what were they thinking? What were they trying to do? It almost seems like he was trying to do like, oh, I'm gonna like update old comedy or something.
Oh, but just missed it.
It just totally missed. And like a lot of the, here's another thing about this movie that I didn't notice before when I was rewatching it. A lot of the times you can't even hear what he's saying.
No, I had that written down. I had to watch this movie with captions. Because like I couldn't hear like half of the stuff he was saying. I don't know what it was. Like it was weirdly like dubbed over some of the time, and like just so like mumbly. Like I've never watched a movie with captions in my life, and I watched this movie with captions. And by the way, like half the captions, half of like what would show up on the screen was just in quotations Pest yelling.
That's what this type of comedy is. It's just like, how much can I yell? Like, let me just yell. Like, it's just yelling comedy. And it is, there's two parts where, and I wrote them down. It's at whatever, some timestamp, 33 minutes or whatever. There's like, I literally listened to it over and over again because he's talking so fast, like he's pumping out the joke so fast that I honestly cannot make out what he's saying.
Is it what, do you remember what part it was?
Yeah, it's at 33:20.
Do you remember what's happening?
He's in the like he's in the Nazi German guy's house, and he says something about like sauce or something. Like I've listened to it literally 10 over 10 times, and I can't make out what because he's shouting. Like the caption says Pest shouting. He's just shouting, and it's impossible to make out the joke. And I think like kids or whatever watching this movie are just like, he's yelling. That's like, funny.
Loud noises. No, I also think like, I was gonna say this relating to the captions thing. I think another reason why this movie just kind of missed the mark in terms of like comparing it to a Jim Carrey movie is like there's an element of beating jokes into the absolute ground. Like half of the I wrote it down because I read the caption pretending to speak language, like pretending to speak Chinese or like pretending to speak German or whatever. I read that caption 100 times. I was just like, oh my God, you know a movie is problematic when that's half of what you're reading in the captions.
I think also like what he was trying to do is like, he was like, I'm going to make fun of every ethnicity because, and with that, with no regard for whether or not it's funny or interesting or anything. It's just like, yep, we got to work in a joke on every ethnicity. Like there's even a part, it has like no purpose in the movie. Like it totally just derails everything where him and, this guy was on Mad TV too. The guy Ari Spears, you know the guy. It's like one of his friends. Yeah, it's one of his friends. They to hide, they go into a bar mitzvah or something, and they're both.
Gosh!
They're both dressed like Hasidic Jewish guys, and it's not. It's just like they had to check off a box of like, okay, yes, we got this ethnicity in too, because there's really not even any jokes. There's one part that's accidentally funny where he calls Ari Spears his fakakta friend, which I kind of was like, that's kind of funny because it makes no sense. But it just has there's no reason for it. It's just like it was this 90s thing of like, we're going to make fun of every ethnicity, and it's just funny to do that. And so they just like shoved it in for no reason. Like absolutely no point.
Oh yeah. I think in the 90s it was like, oh, it's okay to be like racist as long as you do it to everyone. But I had that part about the synagogue written down, and it was so random because they were literally just driving away, like trying to hide from the Germans. They look at each other and they go, I don't remember what they say, but they like look at each other and they go like synagogue or like something.
Yeah, they see like a neon Star of David or something, and they're just like, oh yeah. Yeah.
There's like no basis of that joke.
I know.
Nowhere. And so I have written down about that. It's like just all question marks. It just disguise themselves to sneak into a synagogue for some reason, question mark. And then they leave, question mark.
Yeah, you know what? That's like the defining feature of this movie and like this kind of humor in the 90s is like, it's like they're doing commentary on like culture and like sort of like making fun of different cultures and races and stuff, but it's like there's no purpose, like there's nothing
no reason for it.
It's just there's no reason for it. There's nothing like insightful or like even funny about it. It's just like, oh look, I'm doing the voice of a Jewish guy, like that's it. Like
he just wanted to do a bunch of impressions that he's not good at. It's like great. It's so like accidentally funny. Yeah. And then they tried to like shoehorn this in by like putting a spy in one of the pews at the synagogue. And they were like, it makes sense now. Like it all ties together. And it's like, no, just take the scene out.
But it's like a Scottish guy with a yarmulke on or something like that.
It didn't make any sense. It was so weird.
And then of course that leads into like his big final impression, or like his most important impression, or whatever you would call this, where he just dresses in like African cloth.
Oh my!
To go see his girlfriend's parents.
Oh my gosh!
It's like, it really is like, I mean, a scene like that, like whatever, like maybe you could get something interesting out of that, or like there could be some like awkward funny thing or whatever, you know, like whatever, movies have done that a million times, but this is just like it's the most like meaningless, just like, oh, like her parents are black, so I'm gonna wear African cloth to meet them at dinner. Like it really is like I don't know what you would call it, like racial comment or like cultural commentary, but with like absolutely no, like nothing good or like it
was just so unfunny too. Like it was like an awkward scene even in the context of the movie. It was awkward. And then like, of course, just to top it off, like he's talking to his girlfriend about it, and he says something to her about, oh, like you're uncomfortable with me wearing like the clothes of your people or whatever. And to just top it off, like throw in not just some you know, racism in there, but also like some weird homophobia stuff. She goes, no, I'm just upset that you're wearing a dress to dinner. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then he gets mad at her parents for making Cuban food because they assume that he was Cuban. Like, so backwards. Oh my god. And like, I get that was the joke, but it also just didn't land well. Like, it was just like, oh, come on.
The other thing is that like he's like burning so many calories in this movie, like jumping around and like yelling and stuff. But he really is like the least funny like everybody else in this movie is way more funny than him. Like, I don't know if you noticed this, but like his dad, so he's got like this old guy playing his dad. And there's a part at the end, I can't remember exactly what he says, but like the German guy is like, he says to his dad, he's like, oh yeah, like I captured your son because he's a genius spy and all this. And the dad's like, what? And then he's like, just kidding, like your son's actually a moron and I just want to murder him. And then the dad is like, that sounds about right. And it's like one of the few funny things in the movie, and it's just because this old guy is like effortlessly way funnier than the star of the movie.
I wanted to ask you because I wrote down, first of all, I wrote down a bunch of like my favorite quotes from the movie, but I also wrote down my favorite scene.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And I want to hear your favorite scene first, because I think mine is very like, it's just, I don't know, it's very, I think hidden within the context of the movie. But I want to hear yours first.
Actually, my favorite scene of this movie, I think, might be where they pull up to that club and those sort of like, what would you call them? Like preppy, annoying pieces of crap guys are like, hey, dude, like whatever, like they're saying racist stuff basically to him and Ari Spears. Yeah. And then it goes into this like 90s music video where they're both like battling like who has the most bass in their car. And then John Leguizamo and Ari Spears basically killed these guys with the bass in their car.
Oh yeah, I do have a quote written down from that. But yeah, that of course this movie had to end that way.
Yeah. It's like it's literally, there's no plot reason to have that in there.
No, not at all.
But that's the best. Like they should have just cut everything out, and like that's the movie. Just them battling with these guys for who has the biggest bass. And then I don't know if you remember this, but like it's such a it actually is kind of funny. Like if they just did stuff like this in the movie, it would have been like funnier. But like the car turns into like just this wall of like bass speakers. Like it lifts. Like there's all those lights underneath it, and it lifts like 2 stories high, and it's just like blasting bass.
Oh my god! What? It like becomes Transformers.
Yes, exactly. Like it's a Transformers car.
That's such a good scene. My favorite scene, I guess it's like also kind of a quote. Like this is just, it was so like out of pocket and weird. Mm-hmm. It's when Pest first meets the German guy's son, Himmel.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Himmel, yeah.
And, like for some reason, Himmel just starts like chasing Pest around the room.
Yes.
And Himmel is like yelling to Pest about like, my dad locked me in a room with a boa constrictor for 6 weeks, or like it's so weird and random. And then Pest goes, "What was your snake's name?" And Himmel goes, "Cocteau." And Pest goes, "Like the French playwright?" And Himmel first of all goes, "9 after my 2 favorite body parts."
Oh yeah.
That's like so, like, first of all, no one under the age of like
I was gonna say this exact thing. Like, why are they talking about, because they're talking about Jean Cocteau, I guess, who's like somebody who, that part's baffling, because like, first of all, like, why would they work that in to a movie that's for kids, like this like old like guy who did like experimental films or whatever. Like it makes no sense. Like I can't, like that part.
I genuinely think they were doing the thing where they're like, let's throw in a joke for the parents, hey, but it just like was so forced. And like they made this like, you know, the character was supposed to be like a gay guy, but they made him so like ravenous. Like it was just like any other man, you know, like how people like viewed gay men in the 90s, like they're like out for any like male blood. It was just it was so forced.
Yeah, they made him into like a total creep.
Yeah,
like not just like a gay character, but like a total creep. You know what I mean?
How people viewed like gay people in the 90s. They were like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Like it goes with all the like it goes with all the race humor too, where it's just like
100%.
it's not like making fun of racism or like trying to like show how stupid racism or anything like that is. It's just like, look, I'm doing a voice of somebody. You know, like, it's like that simple, you know.
Yeah, they really hit like every like category of things to make fun of. Like they got the race, they got the gay. I also wrote down a part where he oh my god. I wrote down a part where he pretends to have Tourette's.
Oh yeah. No,
He's
like
yelling freak weirdo.
You're right. It's not just wow, I didn't even really think about that, but it's not just like making fun of like every like ethnicity. He also it's like blindness, epilepsy, Tourette's. Yeah. Like
it's and like well, that was 90s humor. Is like, oh, is it different? We're making fun of it.
Yes, exactly.
It aged so poorly because of that, because like all of that stuff was fine in the 90s and now it's just like we've moved past that and it's just like this movie is a relic of how bad, like how big of pieces of crap we used to be as a society.
I would love to see like I don't know, like a group of younger people, maybe like young like college freshmen or something, like watch this movie and just see like what they think of people in the 90s. Like I don't know, yeah, because it's like yeah, like you're right, like it's all kind of like completely unacceptable now, like
it's so bad. Yeah. It's so bad.
Yeah,
I know that's how things used to be, which is kind of terrible. Like this movie was a wake up call of like, oh my god, we used to laugh at this type of stuff.
Yeah,
but I have a bunch of quotes written down, and I want to read some of them to you because they were just like baffling to me.
Let's hear these.
Okay, so I have a bunch. We'll go through all of them. So 5 minutes into the movie, they're showing the Germans like looking for people or whatever, and one of the German guys goes, "The most challenging prey is often the most difficult to find," and that confused me because like yeah. Like that's not a saying, that's just a fact. Like he said it as if it was some like profound saying. It didn't make sense. But I think this one was one of my favorite quotes from the movie. And it's when also this scene had no business being in this movie, literally out of nothing, but he goes up to a school and there's like some kids playing basketball or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And one of the kids calls one of the other kids a fat loser boy.
Yeah.
Tess is like, why do you call him that? And the kid goes, I don't know. I think it's because I'm fat and I never win.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Even that, even that, like if he just said like, hey, why do they call you fat loser boy? I like even if I feel like even that dumb joke they messed up. Like if it was just like, oh, because I'm fat and I'm a loser, like maybe that would have been fun. I don't know. It's just like every one of these jokes like somehow like gets mangled and doesn't work.
I know. It feels like someone put this movie like into Google Translate and then translated it into a language and then translated it back into English. Like
yeah, I think so.
A little bit. Something's just off. What else did I have? I had written down that his girlfriend's friend's name is Malaria.
Oh yeah, Malaria. Yeah. And they're making fun of like I guess they're what even is that supposed to be? Like, are they making fun of like Latin women's names or something? Like I guess that's the joke.
Anything that like you're like, whoa, what is that in this movie? It's probably them making a race joke.
Yeah.
Like when in doubt. There's another.
Wait, we have to say though. Can I just say like when they do that scene with Malaria and John Leguizamo's girlfriend, you get this. Maybe this is actually like the good part of the movie is you get a sense of like women's fashion during that time, where like where like Malaria has like stickers like No Doubt Gwen Stefani stickers all over her face.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and like the girlfriend has like like a rave backpack on and stuff like that. Like that part actually is kind of interesting because it's like, oh yeah, like that was like a very desirable like fashion back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also funny though, just that scene with all the like parties in the streets in Miami and
Yes, exactly.
like, us having grown up in Miami and being like, ah, yes, I remember the.
Well, also, they do that a lot about Miami. Like, have you ever seen any of the Bad Boys movies? The Will Smith.
Yeah.
There's a part, I think it's in the first one, and I don't know if this is in the actual movie, but it was definitely in the trailer, where they're like doing an establishing shot of Miami. Like, okay, we're in Miami. Here we go. And there's there's a the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
There's one of those, and it exactly looks like that, but it just says Miami, and then a plane flies over it, and it's like that doesn't exist. Like there's no Miami.
That's just bizarre because everyone knows that doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even have to live in Miami to be like, that's not real.
There's no Miami Hollywood. Like, what if you just did that for every state? It's like, oh, we're in Wyoming. Oh, there's the Wyoming sign. There's the
Philadelphia.
The Philadelphia sign. There it is.
The Dallas sign.
Oh, we're in San Marcos, Texas. There's the San Marcos sign.
Oh my god.
It's ridiculous.
Plane like dramatically flying over.
But yeah, you're right. It's like it's not really like what Miami really. It's like everything's a stereotype. So they establish Miami by like everyone's just salsa dancing in the street.
That's been around. That like Miami stereotype has been around since the beginning of time. That's why people like spring break there, and then they're all like disappointed because they're like, "Where's the?
I came here to salsa dance in the street with like a muscle man with a tank top."
I landed in Miami and I haven't seen Pitbull yet.
Is that fashion style coming back? That 90s stickers on the face, like Bjork stickers on the face.
I don't know. Stickers on the face is pretty excessive, but I know that like people love like 90s clothes right now. I don't know. I think I'm kind of old to like understand the fashion or whatever, but I don't think people casually wear like.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it seems like such a hassle to wear that stuff, like a tiny ringer t-shirt, and then like a latex backpack, and then like giant, and then Jinkos, and then Jinkos, and then like that kind of crap. It's like it like definitely puts a memory or like some kind of a like there's something interesting about it, but it's like so impractical that it makes me want to die and kill myself.
It makes me want to discontinue living. Continuing on with these quotes. Yes. I have another one. I'm just gonna read these out of context because I think that's funnier. But at one point, the Pest says, "I hear their meat's a delicacy. Nobody fricassees like I fricassee, boy. I'll fricassee it silly."
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that part. Yep, I was laughing so hard at that part that I literally like a blood vessel in my head popped and I died.
I died. I just thought that was like funny because it was so excessive and no one even knew what it meant. Like I had to look up what fricassee even meant.
Yeah, like it's funny to try to figure out like what's he going for. Is it just like saying these words quickly is funny, or like the words sound funny, Or like
with that one, it was definitely like, this is a funny sounding word.
fricassee.
Frickus. Oh, haha, it has frick in it.
Okay.
Like that was it. That was it for him. That's all he needed. There's another one from from the scene that you liked with the cars,
Yes.
where they pull up on the Pest and his friend, and they're talking about the party or whatever. And I just have this quote. It's so funny. And one of the guys goes, "Mad? Dude, parties are never mad. They're angry, duh." And then just starts laughing.
Yeah, I remember that part too. Like
clearly he made a joke because he's laughing at it, but what's the joke?
I mean, that's like the kind of the fun of watching this movie, is like trying to figure out what was going on. You know, like how is this supposed to be fun? Like, I get, the only thing I could think of for that is that these two guys are like clueless idiots, like they like don't understand slang because they're like these preppy like dorks or something. Like, is that it?
I rewatched that about 4 times because I was trying to see like if he said it funny or like so, and like there is no joke there. He says that and it doesn't make any sense.
It is like, it's sort of like the thing that people used to make fun of Robin Williams for, where it's just like, it's just like saying as many things as possible as quickly as possible to like, maybe there's something funny in there kind of thing or something.
I don't know, that it was so forced, and like that's why I got the Tommy Wiseau vibes, because I was like, that wasn't a joke, but he's laughing at it. I didn't get it. One more quote, and this is also from like after they won the bass battle or whatever. He goes, now I know I'm not gonna let you have any white people unless you take care of them. I'm not even gonna elaborate on that one. I just want to leave it out of context because that's so funny, dude.
You have to take care of them. Very good.
What the heck is that? Like, the things they say in this movie just don't make any, like, did he expect people to laugh at? Oh God.
There actually, I just remembered, there is, okay, so whatever, it's like it's pretty short too. It's like 50 minutes. Like, I feel like they started to realize like, yeah, we can't keep doing this. But we gotta stop filming this. But there's a part, I think Ari Spears actually is a really funny guy. And he was on Mad TV, I think, for like a million years. But there's a part where the other friend, the younger guy, John Leguizamo's other friend, the guy who's always wearing like Nike stuff.
Yeah.
There's a part where he's like goes into this place to save John Leguizamo, and he's gonna go save him, and he's gonna like fight the bad guys. And while that guy's running away, Ari Spears is just sitting in the Jeep, and he goes, "Karate time." And I literally kind of laughed at that part because it's so like, I bet you that wasn't written. Like, Ari Spears just said that, and it's I think that might be the funniest part of the movie. Karate time.
I just remembered, like, you saying that triggered the memory in my brain that his character's name is Ninja.
Yeah, Ninja, like, right.
He breaks into the girlfriend's house after the Germans like took them captive there.
Yeah.
And like he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna save them," or whatever. And he just like immediately falls down.
Yeah, right. That like, classic. There's a lot of classic old-timey gags. Yeah.
And you saw it coming.
Yeah. Oh, like, yeah.
Okay, let's get that trope out of the way. Good job. But
also
Ninja.
Part of Ninja's character is that he's like an unstoppable like ladies man or something. Because there's a part where they cut to that club that they go to, and he's just like, he's like just like basically has his arm around a girl like for no reason. Like he's like
Oh my god, I forgot about that. But they established it like way too late.
yeah, right.
And
Like
so,
that's that.
scene in the club just was kind of like creepy because you're like, wait, like is this character supposed to be a ladies' man or is he just like being a total creep right now? Like what?
Yeah, like that's the kind of thing that you would expect like to be a running joke in the movie. Like, oh, there goes Ninja again with his like Nike hat, like getting all the babes. But like, no, it's just like this one thing. Like they cut all the other jokes, the other ladies' man jokes out.
That's so funny because like halfway through the movie they were like, oh, it would be so funny if if Ninja was a ladies' man, and they were like, throw it in. And we're halfway done with the movie, but throw it in. That's funny.
There's one other thing I wanted to say about this is that check this out. This is on Rotten Tomatoes. This movie has 8% on the tomato meter. The tomatometer. The tomatometer.
The tomatometer. Can we call it that on the podcast?
The tomatometer gives this one an 8%. So I think that's like the critics or like the people who are like have some kind of like whatever, like they have to get authorized on the Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. The audience score for this movie, 68%.
No way.
And this is
just a bunch of kids like on their parents' laptops.
Let me
like,
see if
figuring out what Rotten Tomatoes is. They're like, I'm gonna rate the Pest 5 stars.
This is Keith Phipps from the AV Club writes.
Not a real last name.
Keith Phipps from the AV Club writes, it seems to be targeted at 8-year-old boys with an attention deficit disorder and could have been more competently made by any one of them.
Are there any good reviews? I'm looking it up too because I want to read like who watched The Pest and was like, I feel moved by
actually there's one from a website called Movie Mom. But it says she gave it a tomato.
Not available.
Yeah, quote not available.
Oh my god.
So what I think is going on is that they're actually censoring the IMDb or whatever. No, Rotten Tomatoes is censoring the good reviews because they don't want people to watch this movie.
Oh my god.
This film, okay, here's another from the Houston Chronicle actually. And this guy's a top critic. He gave it a tomato. It says, this film is utterly without discipline or focus in a way that, to one's shame, one eventually finds oddly endearing.
You're kidding me. I'm like, the only positive audience reviews I'm finding are like 5 stars, and they're like, it's so bad, it's good type of deal.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm looking for.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Is this a it's so bad, it's good movie?
I think it has like a The Room quality where it's like, if I was like looking for a bad movie to watch with someone, I'd probably put it on my list of like, oh, you got to see The Pest at least once just to like know that it exists.
Yeah, it might be
Room where it's like, yeah, it's hard to get through, but like you should do it.
It might be. It's definitely like watching this movie is very like you get like again like you're alone watching this, you'll get embarrassed. Like you'll feel embarrassed. But I would say, like, as a movie, you're watching it with friends, like the way people do with The Room, it might actually work for that. It might actually work.
I can't tell if it would work, if it would be like super funny to watch with someone, or if it would be like, oh, I'm like so secondhand embarrassed that it's like kind of uncomfortable. But I think it would be a funny like if you turn the captions on and made it like a drinking game to be like whenever it says Pest yelling, just take a drink and you just absolutely obliterated.
Pest yelling is the best. That is the best thing. Like,
it's such a good summary of this movie.
the captions are like just like rolling their eyes at this movie. I love that.
It would have been so much funnier if it said Pestereo yelling.
The captions want to be respectful of his full name. Yeah.
Oh my
Did you watch that movie on Netflix, that Hillbilly Elegy movie?
No.
That's another one.
I don't know what that is.
So it's a horrible movie on Netflix, but it's weird because like on the tomatometer,
Tomatometer.
it's got like a 26%, like the critics hated it, but it has an 83% audience score. And like it's weird, but like on Rotten Tomatoes, it's sort of like that happens a lot, where it's like, oh, this is a bad movie, but a lot of people are like, no, this is a good movie. I think this.
I think it's the thing. Maybe we should watch that one for the next one. But I think it's the thing where people are like the critics like approach it as like is this an objectively good movie? And then the audience like approaches it like they approach The Room, where it's like it's so bad. Like technically this movie sucks, but like it's fun to watch. Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of the good audience ratings come from.
Yeah, that could be, hopefully, because that's what it sounded like. That's what that one review sounded like, where the guy was like, "This is so stupid that it's endearing, almost."
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, yeah, I was gonna read this. Like this San Francisco, like I guess it's like a San Francisco weekly paper, did a review on it when it came out in 1997, and it's kind of funny. I'll just read some of this. It's hard to feel sorry for an actor when he's making you loathe the sight of him. But after the pest is over, spare a kind thought for poor John Leguizamo, who is only trying to be funny.
Oh my God.
The temptation must have been too hard to resist. The Pest, at 82 minutes of nonstop shtick, and with I like that. I don't know why shtick. That's like something you don't hear anymore. And with a very funny actor, it might have worked. With a genius, it would have worked. Obviously, someone must have told Leguizamo he's a comic genius. Whoever did that isn't his friend. So this guy did kind of like destroy it.
Politely brutal.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, I think my review, if I had to review this as like a grown adult in 1997, would be like, this movie is for idiots. Like idiots meaning like 15-year-olds, like 15-year-old adolescent boys or whatever who just want to see yelling for 15 minutes. And for that, I guess they did their best or something like that.
Yeah, I think my review, I guess this is how we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
But I think my official review of the past 1997
yes.
is something along like if I was a 13-year-old boy in 1997 and I went to see this movie in the theater, I would probably laugh at the yelling and then not understand the rest of it.
Yes, exactly. Like maybe there's some boys, like teenage 90s, boys who like went and looked up John Cockatoo and like went and looked up all these references. They're like, they're
going home and Googling like Nazi.
Right. They go and check out Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. They're like, oh, the Pest was yelling about this. I need to check this out.
The Pest in closed captions yelled about this.
But it's amazing. Like we have to, as a final thought, maybe we have to give it up for John Leguizamo that he like still like this dude has had such a career. Like he's so famous. He's been in all these huge movies.
Oh yeah. I think it takes a certain amount of courage to like make this movie that absolutely bombed, but not quit. Like go on to make other movies.
Yeah, exactly. He kept doing it, and it was like a very successful stand-up comedian, all that. And for that, we salute John Leguizamo. Hopefully, one day, if we keep doing this, we should get him on the show. Oh my God, that would be amazing. If we could get him on and be like, how did you come up with, like, what was going on with this?
Okay, John, is that his name, Leguizamo?
Leguizamo.
Leguizamo, if you're listening. He's probably like, how old now? He's like, I'll listen to this podcast that has one view.
I would love to see him
No.
like he finds out about this, but he gets so mad about what we're saying about that he does that song from the beginning, but with like angry lyrics about this show.
Tag him when you post this. All right, that was The Pest, 1997.
Our new favorite movie.
My number one film.
Should we have some kind of sign off? What do we say at the end? We go, goodbye. Or what would John Leguizamo say?
I was about to say like adios, but like in closed caption it just says pretending to speak other.
Well, this is Danny and Ryan in a caption yelling, us yelling, and we will talk to you later. Bye bye.